strong in faith.
Faith can move mountains. Radio Maria, 91.3 FM.
The voice of truth.
Hello, 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 beautiful, wonderful listeners. How have you been? Great, I hope. Well, I've been fine. The weekend was busy, but all the same, I am doing great. Now it's good to have you again on Life Essential Talk Show, your favorite show on Radio Maria, the voice of truth. I am your host, Uche Chukwuma, and my co-host, Clare Ohunayo, is finally back with us. It's so good to have you here, Clare Ohunayo, after a while.
Thank you very much.
So you're going to tell our listeners, where have you been? Tell
on
them
sabbatical.
Oh, it's so good to have her back. Well, dear listeners, we had interesting topics last week. On Wednesday, we talked about the consequences of couples fighting before their children. I hope you got something significant from that discussion on last Wednesday. Well, today is another wonderful day with a great topic titled Negative Impact of Working Parents on Child Development. Now, I know some people say, won't they work again? Won't they work again? Well, just stay tuned. You will hear so much about the negative impact and what I mean when I say negative impact of working parents on child development. So don't go anywhere. After this musical break, we shall dive right into our conversation. Well, dear listeners, welcome back to Radio Maria, the voice of truth. If you're just tuning in, this is Life Essential Talk, and our topic today is the negative impact of working parents on child development. Okay, so you know that parenting requires lots of responsibilities. It requires a whole lot of nurturing and grooming. So one needs to be careful of what he or she does as a parent, because if not handled quickly or in good time, it could lead to consequences. So parenting, if I should say, is one of the most difficult jobs on this earth. So that is, and you know that children are great imitators. You have to be careful, or else they will imitate whatever you dish out to them. So now, taking us to our topic of the day. When we say negative impact of working parents on child development, your mind might go to, okay, what are those negative impacts? Or should I not work again? What do you really mean? You know, parents neglecting their children in the name of making money and providing life basic necessity has been trending, or will I be, is something that is trending. It's going on in a whole lot of families, in many families. You tend to work. Nowadays, because of the economy, because of the inflation, parents go out to work. It's very rare now for you to hear that the man is working and the woman is not working. Both now work because they need to sustain the family. They need to have their financial stability, which is very, very important. I agree with you. I agree with that very well. Now, but when both parents work and you neglect the most important thing in your life, what do you think happens? When they work and you neglect what you're supposed to do as a parent, what do you think would happen? Like I said initially, even some parents, when they combine the salaries are not even enough to sustain that family. You see them going into extra work just to make ends meet. And doing that, they tend to neglect their children. So that is what we are really going to look at now. The consequences and how you can lessen that gap created by overworking, created by working. Now, You also have to remember that parents are their children's first teachers. When the children before they meet their teachers in school, you are the first teacher. So they tend to want to get a whole lot from you. And when you're not there because of the job you do, or because of the job you do, you don't give them time, it will affect them. It's very natural. It's not a cause, it doesn't mean anything, that is just what happens. So why working? Try as much as possible not to allow your work to impact these children negatively. You have to find a way around it to make your work and your home balance, or else it's going to lead to consequences, to things that you might not be able to handle. So as a working parent, you need to work, yes, and also take care of your children. There is no excuse. You can't say, oh, because of my job, I don't have time for your children. It's so annoying. It's so inconsiderate when you hear such things coming from parents. Because you are the one that will make that choice of balancing your home and your work. If you do all the job in this world, you get all the money in this world, and your children are neglected, what do you think will happen? What have you really achieved? As a parent now, what have you achieved if you do all the work and neglect your children? Let me tell you, and I'm not trying to be mean, you have achieved nothing. Except if you don't have children, except if you don't have people that you take care of. But in the case of children, no matter the job, no matter the work, no matter the extra job, you have to devise means of looking out for your children. Very, very important. So when we come back from this very short musical break, we shall talk more about the positive impacts before going into the negative impact of working parents on child development. Don't go anywhere. Wonderful listeners, welcome back to Radio Maria, the voice of truth. You're still on Life Essential Talk. We are discussing negative impact of working parents on their children. Now I want to start, or should I say continue with this topic by stating this quote by George A. Dose. He said, good, honest, hard-headed character. Good, honest, hard-headed character is a function of the home. If the proper seed is sown there and properly nourished for a few years, it will not be easy for that plant to be uprooted. So in everything you are doing as a parent, you have to be very careful to nurture, to nourish, to groom these children so that they won't bring shame onto you. Now, like I said, we're going to look at the positives. You know that more money translates to higher quality everything. More money translates to wonderful things. Your children will have better health care. They will have private schooling if you're the private schooling type. They will have frequent vacations. You give them, there will be better financial footing and less financial stress in the family. And I'm sure that will make everyone happy. But remember, money doesn't bring forth happiness. You can have all the money in this world and still you are not happy. If not, some of these celebrities that are worth millions of dollars, before I go into naira, won't commit suicide. But still, after everything, they still commit suicide. After everything, their children still commit suicide. So you see, Money can give you everything, but it can give you quality, can help you to give your children quality education, give them better health care. There will be financial stability in the home. Fine. But where it goes wrong is when, after all these, you neglect these children in every other way. Their emotions suffer. The psychological development of that child suffers. The emotional development of that child suffers. Every other thing suffers apart from the money aspect, apart from that physical aspect, which is the money that you give to them. But every other aspect of the child suffers. And because you give money, you think that you have handled every other thing. Now, as a working parent, if you spend less time with your children, you come back from work, you're so tired, you cannot even spend time to know how they're faring. That is, if your child is at home with you or your child is still very young to go to boarding schools. You don't even have time to discuss with them. You don't have time to ask them how they have been. That is when we bring in neglect that I have been talking about, and that is really what we are standing on right now. That's neglect as a working parent. When you don't have time for these children, you cannot even spend quality time with them to know how they're faring, to know how their day was, or how their days were. At least on that day, to know how the school was, the academics and everything. No time at all to talk to them. That is the neglect. And as a working parent, because of your work, because of that extra job, you don't have time for these children, then you're making a very major mistake that could bring on things that you might not be able to handle later on in life. So it's very important for you to have time for your children. When you don't have that quality time, you can't even play with them. Even during weekends, you're either out for one thing or the other, your own business. But the business of your family is by the corner, because you think that when you see them, when you give them money, when you solve their physical problems, then everything has been solved. But that is not the way it is. These children would love to talk to you. They would love to tell you a whole lot of things. Remember, I said at the beginning that you are their first teacher. Parents are their children's first teachers. They would love to run to you to say a whole lot of things to you, to tell you who beat them and who did not beat them, to tell you who did something to them and who did not do anything to them. Children are always eager to converse with their parents. And when you don't give them that because of your work, then you're getting it wrong. They are not the ones that sent you out to work. Yes, they love what you bring in, but they would also want you to give them yourself, not just the money. In fact, you being there for them is number one, then second any other thing. So if you think because of your work, because of the provision you're giving to these children, everything is okay, you are very wrong. Or maybe you come back from work, sometimes you might not even help it. Your children are asleep. You go out in the morning, they are still sleeping. Wow. How can you go about life? How can you go about family life like that? Because right now, the family is suffering. the children are suffering. They might not say it out. They might not say anything to you. They might still be excited whenever they see you, but that neglect will show on them one way or the other. So it's very important you spend time with your family, quality time with your children. And now, if because of your work, you don't have that bond with your children, then it's another thing that you're not getting right. You don't have that bond with your family, then something is wrong. There is this bond peculiar to every family. And if it's not there among members of your family, especially your nuclear family, then something is wrong. There must be that family bond. There must be that bond that even if you're not there, these children will know that you're not there. Not that if you're there, you're not there, it's still the same thing. Let there be that bond. It will keep all of you together. But if you allow your work to take up everything, it will also take up your children away from you, which is your everything as a parent. Your children are your everything, not your work. So as you're working, please do not forget these children. Always have it at the back of your head that you have major responsibility at home, which is taking care of these children, giving them quality time, listening actively to them, hearing them out, having that bond with your children. Now that will take us to another one, which is communication. It's still part of everything I have been talking about. That communication, there's no communication. Do you know if you're not there, these children will look for who they will go to talk with. It could even be their friends who will give them wrong counsel. It could be anyone. As long as that person, that individual, gives them attention, they are okay. Because you're not there. Your work takes you out. Yes, you have very busy schedule that you cannot even bring out time within your very busy schedule to know your child. And you think you know this child by providing everything, even the ones they need, and the ones they want, just to keep them going, just to keep yourself not feeling guilty. But it doesn't work that way. These children want you, not that job. They don't want you to have any job that will keep you away from them. But even if it does, you have to devise means. You have to devise means which will still go to talk to your children, to know them. When that communication is not there, these children will learn from another person. And that person might teach them what you would never have taught them, what you would not want them to learn. And there's nothing you can do about it because you are a working class parent and you need that money. So look at this, no communication. And these children will get so used to it that they might stop talking to you. Even when they have things to say, they won't say anything to you. They will keep it for that individual who is now their teacher, who is now their best friend. So it can be frightening. But dear parents, we have a whole lot to do. All right, let's take this musical break. And when we return, we talk more about the negative impact of working class parents on their children. Don't touch that dial. Dear listeners, you are on to Radio Maria, the voice of truth. This is Life Essential Talk, a talk show where we discuss everything about parent and marriage, fundamental life issues. You're with Uche Chu and Clare Ohunayo. Well, we're discussing the negative impact of working parents on child development, and we have said a whole lot of things. Well, we're still going to continue with communication, which was the last thing I talked about. Well, you know that if attention is not found, if these children don't get attention from their parents, that required attention from them, there will be crisis. Emotional issues will arise. And sometimes you find certain children behaving, let me use the word abnormally. Because, and you know, sometimes you hear yourself, so this child is behaving somehow. The child is behaving lost. It's because the child is confused. That required attention is not there for that child, despite the child having almost everything he or she needs. You know, sometimes, I want to tell you this, sometimes if I'm not feeling okay, I'm feeling somehow, let me use the word somehow, and my children are at home, do you know what I do? I'll just call one of them, come, and I'll hug them. It also happens to the children. Sometimes they'll just run to you and hug you. Not for anything, but just to have that feeling. And you think it's not important. So what happens to those children that don't really see their parents to hug? That don't see their parents to hold when they're not feeling okay? Maybe they come back from school and they're not feeling all right. They really need to talk to someone. They really need to hug someone, you know. Nobody there. And that takes us to the next point, which is children being left in the hands of nannies. Now, these nannies, what do they really know? Yes, they're very essential. Oh, I don't think we can do without help, without house help. I don't think we can really do with that without them, except if your children are all grown up. Even if they're all grown up, you still need someone that can do one or two things for you at home. So imagine you leaving your children with them. The nannies will try, honestly. Sometimes they do try, but they can never fill that gap. Your work as a parent, that parenthood is unique. Nobody can take it up where your children is, or where your children are, or where your child is. Nobody can fill that gap. So it's very important that no matter the work you are doing, no matter how hectic, how tedious it is, remember that it is not your children's fault. So you have to find a way to bring in your children close to you. Find a way to talk to them when you get back from work. But let me not go further than this, because we're still going to talk about that. Now, and you know that the emotional, physical, and mental environment the child is brought up in plays a big role in an individual's life, even when the person is all grown up. It affects them. If there is a real problem with emotions, physically there is a problem, the environment is not conducive, the children will suffer. Even when they're grown-ups, they will suffer and might even treat their own children, the same way. So that is why parents should be very careful. Should be very, very careful. Well, it's time to open our phone line before we continue with the topic. 081, call us on 081 084 47518. Again, call us on 081 084 47518. You can send SMS or you send your messages via WhatsApp. Let's hear you. Let's have this conversation with you. Let's have your experiences. All right, now, when you're so occupied with your work, you might find it very difficult. Okay, so before I continue, let me take this call. Hello? 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 Okay, we have lost that call. Please call us back. Call us back. Would love to hear from you. Okay, so, you might find it very difficult because of your work to attend important school meetings, school functions of your children. Do you know that these school functions that children engage in, or these functions that happen in schools and our children engage in them, do you know that they are very, very essential for you to attend? I've been able, thank God, to attend functions, school functions where my children attend school, where they go to, the functions that they engage in their various schools. And sometimes when you get there, you see other children that I alone, if you see how depressed, no, let me not use the word depressed, how disappointed they look, you know that it's very important for one to attend certain functions that their children engage in. But maybe because of your work, you're not able to attend all the time. You should find ways to fill in that gap. Do not leave your children looking out for someone to come to them. It affects them badly. It affects them terribly. You shouldn't take such functions for granted. Children take these functions, they take them to heart. Because when other parents come out to attend such functions and their own parents are not around, they feel it. So because of your job, you might not be able to attend such functions. You have to devise means, just like I've been saying, to fill that gap. You just have to find a way out. You also have to find a way to attend one, to attend two, to attend three of such functions. It becomes very wrong if they are taken for granted. So like I said, in every aspect, children need this attention. They need this quality time with you. They need few minutes with you just to hold you. So do not allow your job, do not allow your business, do not allow whatever you are doing to take away that opportunity, to take away that chance, to take away that thing that will bring you and your children together. So it's very important as a working parent, you make sure that you're able to attend important school functions of your children. Now, like I also said, children are great imitators. They imitate everything. Whatever you dish out, they take. rather than what you tell them. So if you leave them, you let them alone, they will learn how to stay alone. And they will not have anything to do with you. Even when you need it, even when you're now ready for that, they'll say, when did this start? Have you ever heard of that? Mommy, when did this one start? You're not ready, they're not ready. So that is why the foundation is very important. No matter the situation, the situation of working from morning till evening, you just have to find a way out. Now, let's go quickly to what you should do if you are that kind of parent that works in the morning, from morning till evening or even night. There are certain things you should do to at least fill up that gap. Now, before we continue, I'll still want to remind our callers of the line to call 081 084 475 18. 081 084 475 18. Send SMS or you send your messages via WhatsApp. Now, parents should create time, even if it's just for 30 minutes to 1 hour a day, to communicate with their children. 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 25 minutes to 1 hour is not much to spend with your child a day because of your work. So at least 30 minutes to 1 hour, at least, to communicate with your children. Ask them questions. Create room for them to also ask you questions. Let them understand this job that keeps on taking you away from them. Let them understand the problem. Let them understand what it is you are doing. Let them understand why you are doing that job. Let them know all these. Not leave them hanging. And they will feel guilty that they may be the cause of you going out in the morning and coming back very late because you want to pay their school fees. Because I'm sure they know that you want to pay their school fees. So help them not to feel that guilt, that because of their school fees, you are away from morning to evening. You have to help them understand that. So talk to them. Create room for them to also ask you questions, like I said. Even if it's not about your work, anything that could be bothering them. Because if you don't devise that time, if you don't make out that time, they will block off. They will block you off. Okay, let's take this call. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Good evening.
Hello, my name is Mr. Daniel.
Okay, Daniel.
Yeah.
Please, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Jabi right now.
Okay, nice to have you on the show.
Thank you, ma. I think you are doing a wonderful job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I need to appreciate this topic in the sense that because what we are facing in the society today boils down to parenthood.
Yes.
That we are facing insecurity, crime, and drug addicts boils down to parents.
Yes.
If you are not well brought up in a family, you can't, whatever you are doing, that's what you are going to show up to society. That is very good that that is why I always say that when we are coming up, no matter the kind of job our parents, especially our mother do, she do the kind of job that will give her time to take care of us.
Yes.
If I remember those days, the highest job my mom or other moms do those days is either you be a teacher or you be a job.
It's not like that now. Oh.
Because, well, it's not like that, but it helps us.
Yes.
Because why
True.
that job is that
You have
after
time.
that, after that, you come and take care of the family. You understand? Whatever, no matter how successful you are, if you don't have a successor, then you are not working.
True.
And your successor seems to be the way you brought up your children to take care of you when you are gone and when you are old. You understand?
Yes, I do.
But when we allow jobs to take most of our time without taking care of the children, at the end of the day, we'll be the one to regret it. Because what we try to do to break them out, the society will teach them more better than what they're supposed to know.
Exactly.
If I remember those days that we normally go to, when we come back, we go to Katrina, we remember many of those things. Moral upbringing is the best. Moral upbringing. I know that the situation of the country is very bad.
Very
At the
bad.
end of the day, anybody mom go out, dad go out. I'm not stopping any mom from working, but if she's looking for a job, she will look for a job that will give her time to take care of her children. Because making all the whole world without taking care of your children, it will go down to you. And that's why the society is trying to understand crime and criminality. Look at Yahoo crime. Oh, it's coming from the society, coming from family. You understand? If their way being brought up or like their parents take care of them, just like the way you are sitting there in the studio, you are very exposed. You learn this thing. If your mom didn't take care of you, you won't be where you are today.
True.
I remember our mom, because of their job, you see a child of 6, 7 months, the mom will take her to daycare. She's coming back in the evening. When she's coming back, the bed will do the remaining things. You understand? And the issue is that we are all looking for a better life, but we should not forget our responsibility
As a parent.
as far as take care of our children.
Yes.
It's our best responsibility. Anyone else is second. Taking care of our family is our basic responsibility.
Yes.
I will not run away from that. And whatever we give to our family, that's what they will put out to the larger society.
True.
And people do well bringing them up, the society will be better for it.
Yes, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you,
Thank you.
Amina.
Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Daniel. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Okay. So you have heard it from Daniel. Whatever we give our children, that's what we'll get in return. I don't know, Claire, do you have something to add to this?
Yes, please. I would like to add something to what we're saying. So we are talking about the effect of parents who work outside the home on the development of the children. And we're talking about the negative effects of this, where it leads to neglect and other associated things. The parents are responsible for the upbringing of the child. So parents, when we say parents, we mean a mother and a father. It's a joint responsibility. So there needs to be the balance from both parties to ensure that the children are getting the attention that they ought to get, and that both parents are able to observe the things that the children are doing so that they can intervene when necessary. So I was brought up by a nurse. My mom is a nurse, but she wasn't at home when we got back from school. She had to do sometimes night duty, sometimes afternoon duty. So it was only when she was on morning duty that she would probably close and meet us at home, or would meet her at home. But things were different back then. I think a lot of factors have come into play these days. These days, it's not just parents that are bringing up the children. The children are exposed to different things, on the internet, in school, the kind of restraints that were available in the past, those restraints have been broken. So, we just need to learn how to bring up children in the age in which we live. If we say, oh, a mother shouldn't walk outside the home, or a mother shouldn't do a particular kind of job, you are restricting women. You are telling them that you must fall within a certain whatever categorization and everything, and that the woman may not be fulfilled. She'll be at home, but she'll not be of much value to the children. So the presence is not necessarily so much as the physical presence, but that as you are physically present, you are also spiritually tuned in to your child, and that your child is tuned into you, and that you have the bond that Dr. Uche spoke about earlier on. You have the communication and everything. Those are the things that actually make the difference in whether a child is negatively affected by the parents walking outside the home or not. So it's not just one person's responsibility, it is a joint responsibility. And I believe that you agree with me that elders are right when they say that it is the mother gives birth to a child, but it takes the whole village to bring up the child, and that village means all of us. So it's not just the parent. All of us are responsible for bringing up children and guiding them properly. Most of the negative influence comes from what I would loosely term the village, relatives, neighbors, other people who have the access to these children in one way or the other. So we should all just make it our responsibility to ensure that the next generation has positive influence to lean on. Thank you.
Okay, all right. Claire, that's a very constructive contribution to everything we have been saying. And we'd also to add to what she said, parents have huge impact on the lives of their children. And just like she said, the job is not the problem, but the problem is devising means of having quality time with your children. No matter whatever it is you are doing, you have to work with your children, because everything you're working for is for the children, is for the betterment of your family. So when you acquire, will I say all, most of it, the financials and the psychological aspects of your child's development suffers, the emotional aspect of that child suffers, then it's a huge problem. So we have to learn to balance, to create a balance, to ensure that no one suffers. So to remind our callers of the number to call, 081 084 47518. Let's hear your experiences, let's hear your contributions, let's have your questions let's know how well you are faring with your children and your work. Okay, let's take this call. Hello.
Hello, good evening, madam.
Good evening. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm Peter from Airport Road.
Okay, sorry, yo.
Thank you. I've been enjoying what you're telling there, and
Okay.
there's wisdom in whatever you're saying there.
Okay, thank
But
you.
there's one way I want to disagree with your resource person there.
Okay.
That the type of job the people or the wife does not affect the children. Let's assume that the husband works maybe from morning till 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. Then the woman herself or the wife works up to 6 or 7. You cannot take it compared to the wife who closes around 4 or 5 to come and look after the children. For instance, when I was working, my work was taking me up to the evening before I married. from morning till 6 o'clock. But I decided that I will not marry a wife that will stay such a long time in the work.
Okay.
So I decided to marry a teacher, knowing
Okay.
that maybe after either 1 or 2 hours, of the day, she will come back home and take care of the children. And frankly speaking, it helped me a lot.
Okay.
Even when I was away from the town to another station, my wife had that time to look after the children, and it helped a lot. So I believe that the type of professions people take, more than this time around, we are living, the set we're living today, affect the children. So that's another way we can have to consider the type of profession, more especially the woman sex. As like somebody who works in the bank, they stay there from the morning till 6 or 7. So how do you think that woman can take care of the children? If not living at the mercy of the housemaid. So I think that wisdom in considering the professions one has to take in order to take care of our children and have a better home.
A better home. Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for that contribution. Okay. Despite anything, the most important thing is to devise means to spend quality time with your children. Individual differences, like just what our last caller said, he had to marry a teacher. He had to marry a teacher because he didn't want the children to suffer. He wanted the mother to be there since he's not always around. But there are some persons that won't even mind. They marry whatever your job is. Yes, the first thing they might think about could be the financial aspect, but maybe it might not even be the financial aspect. Maybe along the line, the wife gets a very good job. What happens? Because of the money, you might be so tempted to, or you will just allow your wife to continue with that job. So the most important thing here is for both parents to devise means of catering for their children, giving them that attention, listening to them, having that family bond. That is very, very fundamental. Because if all these are not there, you're getting everything so wrong. You're getting everything wrong. So you have to, no matter, like I said, tedious, stressful the job might be, it is not the children's fault that you have such a job, you're working that much. They still want you. You know, children can be selfish. Honestly, children can be selfish. But when I say selfish, I don't mean the bad way. They can be selfish because they want you to themselves. No matter what you're doing. Sometimes you hear your child, when I'm going out, sometimes now that my children are at home, if I'm going, I will say, Mommy, where are you going to? They know where I'm going to. But they will still ask that question. It can be funny at times. So that's why I said the children can be selfish. So the most important thing is for parents to be there for their children. No matter the job, no matter your work, no matter the business. All right, let's take this call. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. Please, what's your name and where are you calling from?
My name is Uche, and I'm calling from somewhere along Tawaki Road.
Okay, Uchenna, my namesake. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you.
All right.
I like your program. I must commend you very well.
Thank you.
But somehow, the words you are using, devise a way. There's no other way to devise a way except for the father, the parents to sit down and talk. And
Okay.
say, look, who needs to give up certain hours to look after the kids? That's it. Is the blunt truth. There's no other way because what you need is time. So two of us who needs to give up hours, time, reduce the time you spend on economics in pursuit of the funds, either
the husband, the father or mother, and look after the children, because that's what let's divide. Okay, if I may ask, what do you mean divide mean?
Okay. It's to make out time to be with your children. Let me use another phrase. Make out time to be with your children.
So somebody has to give up some hours.
I said at least 30 to 1 hour, but yes, for your
That's
children.
it. Yes.
And he even said at least 30 minutes, 1 hour.
Yeah, I'll give you like the first call where the caller that the person that called just before I called, he said he works 6 to 6.
Okay.
I also work 6. I leave house around to 7, then I come back around 7.
Okay.
Now, I have a friend every day. He said that the wife is not working, that is a strain on the family finance. I said, if you come to my house in the morning, you go and thank God that your wife is not working. In the morning, it's like a war zone. Everybody disappears. We come back in the evening. So every time, I now remember what a friend did when he was working with her. He told the wife, I will work. When I finish, I will retire early. You start working. Let's train the children. And they work for them. Somebody needs to give up time for a period. If it means for 10 years, it's a sacrifice. The marriage and to bring up the children is a sacrifice. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for your own contribution. What do you have to say, Claire? Because let me hear you. What do you have to say on this?
Well, I like the experience sharing that we just received.
Yes.
You know what, in essence, our last caller has just told us is that each family has a unique situation, and each family needs to address that unique situation in the best way that will bring out the best results for that family. That is just it.
That is it. That is it. However you think is most comfortable for you, please use it. The most important thing is give attention to these children. Let them know you and you know them. Let them understand you and you understand them. Let them be your children and you their parents. That will make a near perfect family. Well, at this point, we have come to the end of this exciting topic on Life Essential Talk. Well, I hope you got something nice. I hope you listened attentively. I hope you really got something significant from all that we talked about. Well, there will be another exciting topic on Wednesday. Same station, same time. I remain Uche Chukwuma and my co-host
Clare, Ohunayo.
So bye for now. See you next time. Bye.